Good morning or good day to you, let's say. I know that's different for everybody, especially if you're going to listen to the recording. Michael DDA here. We're doing, I was going to do all of Leviticus 23 today, but there's so many things that I want to talk about that I decided that we'll just do the spring feast today and we'll do the fall feast next week. You'll see we're going to go out on several hiatuses as we go through this. Verse 2 is going to be a hiatus to begin with. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do basically Passover. We're going to talk about the Sabbath. We're going to talk about new months, the calendar as a whole for this year. Keep in mind, Passover is within 9 days, 8 days, 8 or 9 days. I forget what it is. I think it's next week, Sunday. So that'd be 8 days from now. So yeah, we're going to talk about Passover and we're going to talk about Shavuot. Computing Shavuot. There's things to talk about and Sabbath. The first thing we're going to talk about is Sabbath. Well, the first thing we're going to talk about is men. Oh, so many things of interest. I hope that I can entangle you in stirring interests in some of the topics that we're going to talk about today. Starts as it usually does. And Yehovah spoke to Moses saying, isn't that what it's been saying practically every verse since what, 11 or 12 of Leviticus? Verse 2, speak to Israel's seed, Moses, and say to them, they put the feasts of Yehovah. It says, actually, say to them, Yehovah's appointed times. I'm writing on the right now. You can read it on the left. Just listen and see where the changes are. Yehovah's appointed times. His moeds is the word that we're using here, moeds, which you shall proclaim to be holy rehearsals. Holy, Kodesh, rehearsals. Mikra. Mikra is described as spiritual appointments, meetings, rehearsals. Oh, gosh, there's so much that we can talk about in just this one verse. These are my moeds. Interesting that it's the same word. Look at this word, moed. It's actually moedim. It's transliterated because it's Yehovah's moedim, not transliterated. It's conjugated, and then same word here, but this time it's being used differently because it doesn't have Yehovah in front of it. It says my appointments or my spiritual meetings. Appointed times, I guess, is the words that we want to use for that. So let's start with Israel's seed. I have to tell you this over and over again. I don't know if somebody new is going to come on. They got to hear this. It's B'nai Israel. That's the words that they're using here that gets translated as the children of Israel. When I was a boy, it said sons of Israel in many of our Bibles. But as time has gone by, it began to say children of Israel. I remember being in Sunday school class, and we would take turns reading. my folks sent us off on the Sunday school bus, and we went to Sunday school. And it was the boys my age, all around in a circle with our teacher, and we would take turns reading, and we would see. Some Bibles said children of Israel, some Bibles said sons of Israel. I think they're both wrong. So sons of Israel is closer. We've got to understand who we're talking about when we talk about B'nai Israel, which is, again, what children of Israel is translated into. Amen. And I want to reinforce that right now by we're talking about the Yehovah's feasts, his moeds. And if I go to a topic notes under 3 times each year, look what it says. This is 3 times that it says this in Yehovah's Torah. The first one is in Exodus 23. It says 3 times, thou shalt keep a feast to me in the year. Thou shalt keep it, thou, first person, second person singular. Thou shalt keep it at the feast of unleavened breads. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I command thee, at the time appointed, at the moed, in the Aviv month. It doesn't say in the month of Aviv. It says in the Aviv month. It's the month that we're going to see the Aviv be ready. For in it thou came out of Egypt. None shall appear before me empty at the Feast of Harvest. This would be the Shavuot, Pentecost, some call it. The first fruits of thy labor, which you have sown in the field, and the Feast of Ingathering, which is also Sukkot. Feast of Tabernacles is another name for that particular feast, but we're talking about 3 times a year. All your males. Israel's seed are males. Now, they're much more than males. They're spiritually born men. And we're going to see that almost at the end of our talk next week. But let's stay on task. 3 times a year, all thy males, like Zakor. I said Zakor. Your males shall appear before the master. Who's the master? Yehovah is the master. And there they say it. Yehovah, Elohim of Israel, the lawmaker and judge of Israel. Here it is, same verse or same ideas. This is Exodus 34. It says 3 times a year, 3 times in the year, all thy Zakor shall appear before the master. They even use the master again. Yehovah, Elohim of Israel. Now, if I go to this verse, we're going to see it's the same verses. Here's 34, 3 times a year, the one I just read. There's the Feast of Ingathering, our first Feast of Weeks, which is Pentecost. Shavuot, Feast of Ingatherings, that's Sukkot. Feast of Tabernacles is another name for that. But up here, they're talking about the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Same feasts. We've got to understand what is happening. These are the men. But these aren't just any men. You know, you look at so many how do they always want to call themselves? Christian men and women who are turning to Yehovah's feasts and believing for some reason that if you eat clean and you keep the feast, that somehow you're going to become Yehovah's people. Did he tell any of the people of the world to keep the feast of Yehovah? Or did he tell Israel's seed to keep the feasts of Yehovah? Does keeping the feasts of Yehovah make you Israel's seed? Obviously not if you're a woman. See, we have accepted so many lies. It's a narrative. Christianity, it's a narrative. It's the back door. Dare I say? It's the back door of the cabal. Remember, where's the head of the cabal at? Did you ever consider it's in the Catholic Church? The Vatican? What do I want to call it? The synagogue of Satan. They're the ones who gave us the New Testament. They're the ones who added those books to the Hebrew scriptures. It wasn't the Hebrews that did it. It was the Catholic Church. They're the ones who gave you the golden calf of the modern age. We've learned lies. And now, oh my God, it drives me crazy. Oh my Elohim. They don't know. They're turning to Jesus, the golden calf. And the Catholic Church, whatever's left of the Catholic Church, so many, the Pope and the Cardinals, they've all been put down. They're laughing because you're turning to their back door and you're ignoring the creator of all things. Yeshua supposedly said, "Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." What's his name? We don't know. His name is Yehovah. And he's been replaced by the modern day golden calf, Jesus, given to us by the Catholic Church to turn us away from Yehovah's feasts. Oh, there's so many things that have been hidden us, even in the scriptures. How they translate certain words. You just can hardly see it without turning to the Hebrew. So, here's the last one in Deuteronomy. 3 times a year, all thy males, Zakar, shall appear before Yehovah, thy Elohim, thy males. Who's he talking to? He's talking to Israel's seed, thy males. Shall appear before Yehovah, thy Elohim, in the place where he chooses, at the feast of unleavened bread, the feast of weeks, and the feast of tabernacles. They shall appear before and they shall not appear before Yehovah empty-handed. This just gets us to the children of Israel. Now we're going to talk about the feasts and his holy convocations, his holy appointed times. Let's look at that verse again. How did it say that? I guess I don't even have a holy, what do I have there? I got to go up for, no, I'm actually going to go to my study notes. There we are. Yeah, I don't even think I used the word holy. Kodesh. It's Kodesh. It's Kodesh Moeds. Holy Moeds. They're called holy days. They're not called holidays. The world, the Catholic Church, the cabal has given us holidays, not holy days. They replaced Yehovah's holy days with holidays. And they're all about sun god worship. The spring equinox is Ishtar. The winter solstice, shortest day of the year, is the Saturnalia festival. All about sun god worship. Folks, you have learned lies, worthless and unprofitable things. Here, let me go to, I guess I want to go here first. No, actually, I want to go to, here we are, Feast of Yehovah. Here it is. Men's holidays. This is what we're talking about. This is what they replaced it with. Remember, I talked about the golden calf of the modern age. Man's holidays have replaced Yehovah's holy days. Oh, the lies we have learned for years, practically a lifetime. For me, I kept the holidays of men, New Year's Eve, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and so many more. Well, thinking that I was doing God a service. I actually thought I was honoring my Father in heaven by keeping these funky holidays. You know, you have to go back to, I wasn't planning on doing this, but where would I find that? Constantine topic. Here, this is one of my topic notes. Constantine. This was given to us by the Catholic Church the same year that the New Testament was inaugurated. This is the Constantine Creed, 4th century. I renounce all customs, rites, legalisms, unleavened bread, and slaughters of lambs of the Hebrews. Do you hear what we're talking about? They're getting rid of the Passover. They don't want people to keep the Passover because they become Ezra men. Oh, most of you have never even heard of an Ezra man. Sacrifices of lambs of the Hebrews and all the other feasts of the Hebrews. Sacrifices, prayers, aspirations, purifications, sanctifications, propitiations, and fasts, and new moons, and Sabbaths. And it goes on and on and on. Can't do it anymore. According to the new king in town, Constantine. Let's go to the other one. This was holidays. If you go to the same spot, here it is right here, just to the right of my cursor. No, just to the left of my cursor now. Man's holidays. Hover over it. Look what it says. Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Let's look at Easter. Easter's coming up tomorrow. I made it my homepage today just for the heck of it, just for one day. I'll go back to the calendar. because Passover is coming up so quickly. But here, we're going to go to Easter. There it is. Easter is coming. So meet Easter. Look what it says. This is her. Yes, meet Easter. This is Ishtar, pronounced similarly. Easter comes from Ishtar. In Assyria, she was worshipped as the goddess of erotic love, new life, spring, fertility, and more. Do you remember when we went through Yasher and we talked about the men of Sodom and Gomorrah? And each year at the spring equinox, they gathered together, and each man took the other man's daughters and wives, and they had sex with them. It was following Ishtar that got Israel kicked out of Yehovah's land. And you think that somehow honoring Easter is going to bring glory to Yehovah? It's man's holidays, not Yehovah's holy days. Yehovah doesn't change. And his word is going to endure forever. Nobody canceled out Yehovah's ways. A man is born again, and I did say a man is born again at Passover. You get 2 times to do it. 14th day of the first month or 14th day of the second month if you miss the first month. How gracious is our Father in heaven. He gives us 2 times to become his. Remember, the Ger, who doesn't keep the Passover, or the Ezra, who doesn't keep the Passover, gets kicked out of Israel. It's pretty important that we do it every year. It's the covenant that we have with Yehovah. And we reestablish that covenant if we're already his, already an Ezra man. I've kept the Passover every year for, 15 years, 16, 17 years. A lot of years. I'm going to pick out my lamb. Actually, I know which lamb it is, but I'm going to see it on Wednesday night, the 10th day of the first month. This week. Well, let's go back. We could say the same thing about Christmas. I mean, they're all polluted, folks. You've learned lies, worthless and unprofitable things. And while you're waking up, you need to wake up spiritually as well. Don't go back to the dang gone golden calf of the modern age. Go back to Yehovah. Women, go back to your man. Where are we? I guess we can go to verse 3. Oh my goodness. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of solemn rest, a holy convocation. I guess I didn't. A holy convocation. It's a moed. No, mikra. A holy convocation. The convocation is what they translated as from mikra. Mikra was translated to holy convocation. Yes, to convocation. Rehearsal. A meeting. I always wonder about that rehearsal idea. I mean, there's some things that are going to be, I think maybe these rehearsals are shadow pictures of potentially things that are going to come in the future, perhaps. He goes on, you shall do no work on it. It is a Sabbath of Yehovah in all your dwellings. Probably Yehovah Sabbath is what it says, in all your dwellings. Now, Sabbath. Look at this. We're talking about the holy convocations of Yehovah, feasts of Yehovah, appointed times of Yehovah. And before we talk about the first one, not talking about months, before we talk about the first one, which is going to be 14th day of the first month, Passover, we're talking about Sabbaths. Let me read you my note here on the side. Some of you are going to be pissed off. I don't care. The lunar Sabbath people ignore the weekly 7-day. I'm sorry, let me try that again. The lunar Sabbath people ignore the current weekly 7-day cycle in use today and use the moon to determine when the new week begins and ends. So rather than observe the Sabbath on the 7th day of a recurring, uninterrupted 7-day week, lunar Sabbatarians start a weekly 7-day cycle at the beginning of each lunar month. A lunar month follows the phases of the moon, and since the lunar cycle is 29.53 days, sometimes it's 29 days, sometimes it's 30 days, it's never more than that. Some months have 29 days and some have 30 days. I guess I just stole my thunder. Lunar Sabbatarians are keeping the Yehovah Sabbath on the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th day. Sounds pretty good until you figure out the transition between one month and the next. And Yehovah's sacred cycle work, well, how do I say it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Sabbath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Sabbath. He says 6 days you shall rest. 6 days you shall work. Shall work be done. And the 7th day is a Sabbath of Yehovah. Well, look what happens when we have the 29th day. Here we have a Sabbath. Then we have a day of work. Then we have a Sabbath. Is something wrong with this idea? Where's the 6-1, 6-1, 6-1, 6-1? We got 1-1 some months. Or 2-1 some months. Ridiculous. It doesn't work. Look what Yehovah says. But who is the thou that Yehovah is talking about below? This is in the 10 Commandments. He says, the answer is Israel's seed. Not the children of Israel. Israel's seed, the Ezra men. He says, not their ger or their families, servants, or animals. Here's what it says. It says, 6 days thou, Israel's seed, shall labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is a Sabbath of Yehovah thy Elohim. In it thou shalt do no work. You, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy male servant, nor thy female servant, nor thy cattle, nor thy ger, who is within thy gates. We should have a long talk about ger someday soon. It's always hard to fit some of these hiatus things in. But we only have one ger with us, and he's only going to be a ger for 1 month. Because at Passover, he's going to get circumcised with all the males in the household and then become an Ezra. And he's going to have to get his own land. And we're going to take another ger. And if he doesn't get circumcised and eat the Passover and become an Ezra, he gets kicked out of Israel. So we have a mechanism in place for building Israel from the nations. Remember, a Benekar or a Toshav who comes and joins himself to Israel becomes a ger. Okay, who doesn't have a ger? I don't. I'll take him. You go with him. You're going to live with him. Another Ezra man. He's going to teach you Yehovah's ways. A discipleship program, if you will. And at Passover, he becomes an Ezra. Move on. You're going to get your own land now. Expanding our territory. We'll talk about the ger again before we're done here. Now, this is one verse in all the feasts of Yehovah that talks about the Sabbath. In Numbers 28, it talks about the slaughters that Israel's going to bring, primarily the priests are going to bring. We're going to see that today during each of these festivals. 28 talks about the spring feasts, and 29 talks about the fall feasts and the things that they're supposed to bring. Let's turn to 28. I want you to see something. I said Numbers 28. Look at how it starts. Now Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, command Israel's seed. Who's he commanding? He's telling Israel's seed, Bnei Israel, to say to them, my offering, my food, by fire, my sweet aroma ye shall guard to bring them to me at its moed, at its appointed time. So here he's talking about the different things that he's going to bring. The first one he's going to talk about is what? The Sabbath. He's not talking about the beginning of months. He's talking about the Sabbath first. The Sabbath has nothing to do with the beginning of months. He's talking about the Sabbath and the things that we're going to bring. On the Sabbath day, 2 lambs in their first year without blemish. Remember, we said without blemish was whole and alive, but we're finding out that that's also a mum, a animal that is without blemish. I had to eat my words a few weeks ago, but I'll do it gladly anytime when new light comes to my mind and to my eyes. Talking about a burnt offering on the Sabbath. Then he's going to talk about the beginning of your months. The Sabbath doesn't have anything to do with the beginning of our months. Folks, we've learned lies. It's all about line upon line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Oh, did we lose Wayne? He's not here with us, V. I'm surprised. Let's go back because we're going to see this again. Where were we? Oh, I didn't go back. I got to go back to 23:3. There's where we were, 6 days. Okay, so there's the Sabbath. Now, we're going to talk about these are the feasts of Yehovah's holy assemblies, which you shall proclaim at their appointed times, at their moeds. Here it is right here. These are Yehovah's appointed times, appointments, moeds, even holy rehearsals, even mikras. So they're appointed times and they're holy rehearsals. Even holy rehearsals. Oh, I think that's so interesting. You don't see that in this. Which ye shall proclaim at their appointed times, at their moeds. What did I say? Compare this with 37:23. Yeah, we're not going to go there with that. Let's go to 5. On the 14th day of the first month, at twilight, is Yehovah's Passover. I just spent here. Today's what? The 5th? I think today's the 5th of, yes, it's the 5th of April. On the 30th of March, I think I got this set up and ready to go. Maybe not. I can get there easy here. Let me just show you where my calendar is at. Right here, Hebrew calendar, 25-26. On the 30th, once we have the beginning of the first month settled, we can now start counting. 14 days, decided on the 30th, so the 31st is actually going to be day 1. And so day 9 is going to be the day, which would be April 10th, the 10th day, or April 9th. We're off by a month this year, or a day this year. I almost hit it exactly as far as timing for the different things. But I put together, and it takes many hours of going through some things that I do to figure out when each of the new moons is going to take place each year. I do this every year. And since this one was on the 29th day, it looks like it's going to be the 29th day of the next month that we're going to see, 29th day of this month, Aviv, that we're in right now, that we're going to see the next new moon. And then 30 days later, we're going to see the following new moon. So that's kind of where it goes. It's either going to be the 29th day or it's going to be the 30th day. If it's the 30th day, it means you can't see it at all on the 29th. And if you don't see it, because it's the 30th day, it's going to be the next month anyway. So based on that, once we know the first day, we can figure out when Passover is going to be. And this is what we're talking about in the verse we're in right now. He said the 14th day is going to be how did he say it? The Passover. Here. The 14th day of the first month at twilight is Yehovah's Passover. Yehovah's Passover. Do you want to get passed over? Or you want to continue being the walking dead for the next year? Because that's what really everybody is. They're walking dead. They haven't been born a second time. They're not spiritually born. They're walking dead. You have to read Exodus or listen to my Exodus 12 teaching to understand what we're talking about with the new birth happening at Passover and the Ger becoming an Ezra man. Born in the land man, an Ezra of the land man. That's what he became at Passover. Okay, I'm back. And I'm still recording. Well, let's continue. I think the last thing we talked about was, I just got the blue screen of death. Sorry, folks. I don't know how interrupted that was. I'll cut out that portion of our story for today. But it's still going, and I didn't lose our recording at least. Just finished talking about Passover. 14th day, first month. Passover, on the right, is the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, they're one. Passover is the beginning of the feast, and the Passover meal is the first meal that has unleavened bread. Passover is when a man, a ger or an Ezra, enters into covenant with Yehovah, or renews his covenant with Yehovah, and becomes his son. It is the first of the feasts. All the feasts are for the Son. Holy convocations, rehearsals. Now, he's going to talk about the 15th day of the same month. Here it is in verse 6. And on the 15th day of the same month is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. To Yehovah, 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. And use the vav. I put, why 7 days? This possibly represents 7,000 years in which men dwell on the earth and learn to keep the sin out of their lives. You know, I always think of a lifetime as a trial period. Are we going to learn to follow the Creator and his ways and move on as we become an Ezra men? The Ezra are the ones who are going to be raised from the dead, not those who believe in Jesus. No, you've learned lies. Here, you know, there's so many things that I could talk about. I want to go to, I think, Psalms 50. I use this a lot, but I think it's very important that we see this. Psalms 50, verse 5. Psalms 50. Here we are. Verse 5. Gather my kasid. The word there is kasid. Here it is. Gather my kasid. Gather to me my kasid, my saints, who cut a covenant with me by slaughter. By slaughter. What are we talking about? We're talking about Passover, folks. And we're talking about being gathered to Yehovah, raised from the dead, when Yehovah returns to the earth. Remember, he told Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that it was all about the seed and the land. The Ezra are the Ezra Haaretz, the earth's Ezra. That's the born again right there. He says, gather to me my saints. Who are the saints? Goes on and tells us, those who cut covenants, who cut karat, my covenant, barat, with me by slaughter. Slaughter. That's what we do with our Passover lamb, is we slaughter our Passover lamb. Isaiah 26 says kind of the same thing. Let me go there briefly. Isaiah, where are you? Isaiah, there it is, 26. This is Isaiah speaking. And look what he says. Here it is, 19. Your dead shall live. Together with my dead body, they shall arise. Awake and sing, who dwell in the dust. For your dew is like the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Talking about exactly the same thing. The Passover slaughter. Who's your? Israel's dead. Those who cut. Remember, Israel is the Ezra man. Let's go back. 23:6. And on the 15th day of the same month is a feast of unleavened bread to Yehovah. 7 days you shall eat on bread. On the first day, you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no customary work on it. Not talking about the Sabbath. The holy convocation comes from the first day of unleavened bread, folks. I don't have any notes on that one. But you shall bring to Yehovah 7 days. You shall bring fire to Yehovah 7 days. That's what it says. Bring fire to Yehovah for 7 days. The 7th day shall be a holy convocation as well. You shall do no customary work on it. Well, the millennial kingdom, remember we were talking about 7,000 years. I was thinking, and maybe that's where I got interrupted. If these 7 days represent 7,000 years, what does the first year and the 7th year have in common? I wonder. I don't know. The millennial kingdom of the 7th year, I think, is going to change some things significantly. I wonder if we're getting ready to enter that millennial kingdom right now, that 7,000 year period. Could it be? Wayne, he's still not here, huh? Darn. I was going to ask him about the man living to be many, many years. It says in I think it must be Isaiah. It was, I don't remember where it was in Isaiah, but it was talking about a man that dies at 100 years will be like a child who has died. People are going to live a lot longer in the future. And we're looking at that just around the corner right now. He said, look in verse, he says, but you shall bring fire to Yehovah 7 days. Numbers 28, remember we were just in Numbers 28. It says, these are the things which Israel's seed brings to Yehovah's fire. They're primarily things that the priests are going to bring to the fire. I'm not going to go through those right now. We're going to get to Numbers 28 in another 6 months or so, probably, I guess. Bring to the fire on the 7 days, no customary work. I guess we're on 9 now. And Yehovah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Israel's seed and say to them, when you come into the land which I give you, and reap its harvest. So this is now a verse that's talking about when we're in the land and we reap our harvest. Then you shall bring a sheaf of first fruits of your harvest to the priests. We don't have our land yet. This is something that we did in the past. We're going to do it in the future. But right now, can't do it. This is for we're in the land, for when we are in the land and have a temple and a priesthood. This is the first fruits of our Israel's seeds, B'nai Israel, Ezra man's harvest. Actually, barley harvest, to be specific. And now it says, and he, who's about the priest, shall wave the sheaf before Yehovah to be accepted on your behalf. Now he goes on. He says, on the day after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. So we're going to bring it to the priest, our first fruits. Remember, 3 times a year, all your men shall appear before Yehovah. They shall not appear empty-handed. Now it's saying on the day after the Sabbath, the priest shall wave it. During the Feast of Unleavened Bread, 7-day feast, there's going to be a Sabbath. On the day after that Sabbath, wherever it is in the week, it's the following day, Sunday, that we're going to bring it to Yehovah, and he's going to wave it before Yehovah. The priest is going to wave it before Yehovah. The priest will wave it. Here, I got notes for this. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yehovah. This is that's the one we just did. Here's the Feast of Unleavened Bread, a 7-day feast. And, of course, it has a Saturday. The day after that Saturday is the first fruits barley day. That's exactly right. I see barley as being a sort of low-grade animal food and wheat as the food for men. Could this have something to do with our first birth and our second birth? I think it just might be that case. Remember, before a man becomes Israel and becomes an Ish, but before that, he's an Adam. There's a difference. You got to watch for those things in Torah. Look for when it has Adam translated. They're both translated as men or man. Look for ones that say Adam and ones that say Ish. It'll be enlightening to you. Some say Enoshim, and some say Enoshim would be the Ish, plural of Ish. I forget what the plural of men are. It gets translated as mortal men often. I forget what the Hebrew word is for that. I apologize. Here's where I left off. So he humbled you and allowed you to hunger and fed you with manna which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, that he might make you to know that man shall not live. Oh, there's he's talking to Israel, but he says Ha'adam, that the man shall not live by bread alone. You know, he's not saying the woman. We're talking about men. Ha'adam is the man. But the man shall not live by bread alone, but the man lives by every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yehovah. Yes, that's right. Let's go to 12. And you shall bring forth on that day, when you wave the sheaf, he's talking to the priest, I believe, a male lamb of the first year, living and whole, for an olah to Yehovah, a ram. This is a lamb. This is not a goat. This is a definite ram, a lamb, a he-lamb. Living and whole, remember, living whole. It's also a moon. Last time I said living and whole. Olahs are always males. Yes, that's right. But this is one of the things that we're going to do on that particular day. If you go to Numbers 9, you're going to Numbers 28, you're going to see that exactly what we're supposed to do with that. It says it's minka, so the male lambs, minka. You're going to bring the lamb and a minka. Shall be 2/10 of fine flour mixed with oil, oil by fire to Yehovah, sweet aroma, and its drink, it's minka, again minka. Funny, do they translate that both as minka? Minka, nesek, libation. They do nisek. They use nisek for that libation. Its drink shall be wine, 1/4 of a hin. So these are things that the priest is going to bring to Yehovah. He goes on. He says, you shall eat neither bread, nor parched grain, nor fresh grain, until the same day that you have brought an offering to Yehovah, or to Elohim, to your Elohim, thy Elohim probably. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Now, this is what happened this month. In Israel, there are some grains that were done, the barley was aviv early. And it's already been harvested and stored away. Some of the barley is, because we had a drought in Israel this year, is really lagging behind. The men who did it early, if we were at a temple, would have to hold on to their barley until they brought it to the priests on this day after the Sabbath. And after that, they can now eat their bread or eat the barley. Couldn't eat it before that. Couldn't give it to your animals before that. You had to wait until you gave Yehovah the first fruits. That's what we're talking about here. You shall eat neither bread nor parched grain nor fresh grain until the same day that you have brought an offering, a korban, probably is what they're using there. A korban, there it is right there, a korban to your Elohim, lawmaker and judge. A statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Verse 15. I think we're only going to 24 or so today. And you shall count for yourselves from the day after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave. 7 Sabbaths shall be complete. From the day after you brought the grain, day after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the tenufah, probably tenufah, sheaf of the tenufah, shall be completed. He says, count 50 days. 50 days. Or no, here we said 7 Sabbaths shall be completed. Count 50 days to the day after the 7th Sabbath. So we're going to have 7 Sabbaths. 7 Sabbaths is 49. Not going to work with your crazy Sabbatarian or the lunar calendar. 7 Sabbaths. Then you shall bring to your dwelling, seventh Sabbath, count 50 days to the day after the seventh Sabbath. So we have 7 Sabbaths and a day. See, we got 2 ways to figure this out. 7 Sabbaths and a day, or 50 days. You're going to end up being the same day. Again, the lunar Sabbatarian is not going to work. Then you shall offer a new grain offering to Yehovah. Actually, let me put it actually what it says there. Then you shall bring a new minka unto Yehovah. Oh, that's interesting. They call it a minka, a grain offering, a minka. Yeah, it's going to be the wheat. It's our wheat harvest. We're bring a sheaf of our wheat harvest to Yehovah on Pentecost. This is how we're 7 weeks. This is how we're doing the Pentecost. 50 days. That's where Pentecost comes from, 50 days. You shall bring from your dwellings 2 wave loaves of 2 tenths of an ephah. 2 wave loaves. I think we're talking about waving it before Yehovah. Let me see. Maybe I have it in here. You shall bring from your dwellings 2 waves of 2 tenths of an ephah. They shall be of fine flour baked in the oven. We're talking about loaves of bread. 2 loaves of bread, specific weight to Yehovah. They are the first fruits to Yehovah. Again, they're going to go to the priest. A portion of it's going to go on the fire. The rest of it's going to go to the priests. Boy, they must have a heck of a lot of bread that particular day. They are the first fruits to Yehovah. And you shall bring with the bread 7 lambs of the first year. Remember, this is for the priests. Again, we're going to see this information in Numbers 28. With the bread, and you shall bring, they have offer. It says bring. You shall bring with the bread 7 lambs of the first year without blemish, 1 young bull, 2 rams. They shall be as an olah to Yehovah, and their minka and their nesek by fire for a sweet aroma to Yehovah. Now, to figure out what all that is, it's a minka. What is the minka? What is the nesek? You can go to Deuteronomy 28 and you can look it up, or Numbers 28 and look it up. Then you shall slaughter 1 kid of the goats. Here's the word. Then you shall, it doesn't even say slaughter. It says take. Here's the word. You shall take. You shall make. Take. Asah. Make. Take is my translation of it. You shall take 1 kid of the goats as a kata'ah, as a sin offering, 2 male lambs of the first year as a slaughter of the peace offering. There's the word slaughter, zavek. Remember, when we have a slaughter, we're going to eat it. A slaughter of the shalamim, the peace offering. It's a slaughter of shalamim. And the priest shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits as a wave before Yehovah with the 2 lambs. They shall be holy to Yehovah for the priests. Yeah, the priests are ones that will be the ones that are going to eat it. Man, they're going to have a lot of food. Remember, this is for all of Israel. This is not each man bringing these things. So this is for all Israel, but the priests are going to eat it. 20. And the priest shall wave them with the bread, the first fruits, offering before Yehovah. I'm going to read it here. And he shall wave, nuf, the first fruits, the bikar, the first fruit food, as a wave offering before Yehovah's face. No, before Yehovah is what it says. Before Yehovah. With the 2 lambs, there's the 2 lambs, kebbas, they shall be holy to Yehovah. Now, And you shall proclaim on the same day that it is a holy convocation. Remember, it's not a holiday, it's a holy convocation, a holy rehearsal. Yehovah's holy days have been replaced by man's holidays. Don't keep those wicked days. Oh, we have such strong feelings. Oh, my ex-wife, my first wife, used to wake up Christmas morning. Do you remember the musical? What was the name of it? It has the song, to life, l'kayam, to life. She used to wake up to the song. No, she used to wake the house up to the song Tradition. Tradition! Tradition! Folks, we've learned lies, traditions of men, traditions and doctrines of men. Don't follow the doctrines and traditions of men. I can't think what that musical was. It's going to bother me. I'm going to get it before we're done, probably. Again, and ye shall proclaim on the same day, this is Shavuot, holy convocation to you. You shall do no customary work on it. Remember, this is the second feast that all the Zakor of Israel is going to come to Yehovah for. The ladies aren't here. They don't need any unclean ladies at Shavuot or Passover. Doesn't happen. A woman or a menses is going to screw the things up. No, she's at home. These are men that are coming. These are Ezra men that are coming. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. When you reap the harvest of your land. Oh, this is just an extra benefit. Okay, we just finished with Shavuot. We just did Passover, the barley harvest. Then we did the wheat harvest. But now, in case you don't remember, when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not wholly reap the corners of your fields. When you reap, nor shall you gather any gleaning from your harvest. You shall leave them for the, here's the words, for the ani, for a poor one, or the poor ones. It doesn't have the word, it doesn't have the definite article. And for a ger. I think it's your ger that you're leaving them for, not just any ger. It's your ger. I am Yehovah, your Elohim. And this is where we're going to stop. We just finished what we call the spring feasts. You know, technically the Shavuot, Feast of Ingatherings, Pentecost, is in late June, late May or June. Hardly spring. I guess it's still kind of spring. When does summer start? June 22nd, 23rd, something like that. I mean, it's spring. It just seems like a really late spring. Next week, we're going to do the fall feasts, starting with Yom Teruah. We call it the Feast of Tabernacles. I call it the Day of Shouting. We're going to make a lot of noise on that day because we want people to realize that a reckoning is coming soon. 10 days. We're not counting up, I think, to Yom Kippurim. We're counting down. 10, 9, 8, 7. All right. Well, folks, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to try and get that problem that we had, but maybe it didn't even take it. It says it's an hour and 20 minutes, so maybe we're going to be all right. I won't have to edit it, so I'll look at it to make sure. At any rate, you guys, thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.